Bonjour, bonjour tout le monde. C'est la prof Jessica, and today we're going to be reviewing lesson 01.02 for French 1. Now, this is going to be the first of several videos, so bear with me, they will get better. We are going to start with Sophie and Kevin continue on their journey together. If we remember, Kevin is on a foreign exchange and Sophie is showing him around. Throughout this lesson, I'm going to be playing the part of Sophie as I give her perspective in teaching Kevin. So here we go. Sophie. If I had the chance to go to the United States, I too would be excited to discover world-famous cities like New York or Washington, D.C. That's why when Kevin asked me about Paris, when we visited the capital of France, I was happy to share that it was first called Parisis, and the Gauls, a Celtic tribe, started a fishing village here, right on the Île de la Cité, where La Cathédrale Notre-Dame is located today. In this lesson, Kevin will learn how to share his nationality and where he lives, and I'm going to give him a quick tour of France and tell him all about the regions where some of my family members live. Remember that you do have the note guide available to you, so don't forget to use it. Ta nationalité. Kevin arrived less than 2 weeks ago, and he has been acclimating to his new surroundings quite quickly. I want to make sure he makes friends once he starts at my high school. So he practiced having a conversation on camera. That way he could listen and watch it again to become more confident. So as we watch this video, I just want to remind you helpful hints that when viewing the dialogue, remember to watch each video twice. First, listen through it to see how much you can initially understand. Pay attention to the context and nonverbal cues, such as facial expressions, hand gestures, body movements. Don't worry if you don't understand everything during your first viewing, but make sure that the closed captioning that you use them to help you understand if you need them. Pause the video when necessary so you can have a full view of the sentences. Feel free to speak along with the dialogue in the video because it will help you build a strong sense of intonations, pronunciations, and cadences of French speech. Read the comprehension questions beforehand, keep the questions in mind while watching the video and answer the questions on your note guide, and then check your answers. So here we are.
Bonjour, bienvenue.
Bonjour, comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Sophie. Et toi, comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Kevin. Sophie, ça va?
Ça va bien. Et toi?
Ça va, merci. Tu habites où?
J'habite à Paris.
Tu es de quelle nationalité? Français? Américain?
Psst, remember? I'm a girl. How will you change that question knowing that?
Tu es de quelle nationalité? Américaine? Française?
Je suis française. Et toi?
Je suis américaine. Je suis américain. Salut Sophie.
Au revoir, Kevin.
It's a quick self-check. What are the names of the two characters in the video? Now, we've watched it once, so I encourage you to pause this video here and watch it a second time to double check that you're understanding and you're ready for these questions. Once you're ready, come back. Okay, so what are the names of the two characters in the video? Did you happen to catch that? They are Sophie and Kevin. And Sophie, while I'm playing Sophie, that right there is Sophie as well. Second question, what do both characters have in common? They both come from a different country. Don't know if you caught that. How does Kevin seem to feel? He seems well. Ça va bien. And what did Sophie highlight? She highlights how people are described depending if they are male or female. Don't know if you caught that difference in the pronunciation between the male and the female. All right, well done. Quelles sont nos origines? It is always good to be sensitive to a person's origins, and once we start chatting about where we are from and cultural heritage, it is surprising how much we can learn. The following terms can get the conversation going. Remember to use the handy note guide provided as you work through the lesson. So these are the vocabulary words for this lesson. We have here tu es de quelle nationalité? That's the question. Tu es de quelle nationalité? You are from what nationality, or what is your nationality? Je suis. Je suis. I am. Américain. Américaine. Hopefully you were able to catch that in the video, that difference between the ending. Américain, américaine. The first is for men, for males, and the second is used for females. Américaine. So I would say, je suis américaine. Français, française. Anglais, anglaise. Espagnol. Chinois, chinoise. La prononciation, c'est important. I have to say, Kevin is fearless in tackling good French pronunciation. We came to the conclusion that the discomfort he is feeling when saying new words is simply muscle related. Since he has never had to make these sounds, it's like working out a new set of muscles. However, unlike the biceps, facial muscles won't hurt after practicing pronunciation. They say practice does make perfect and permanent, so we continued pronunciation tutoring with these sounds. Select and play the button, and we'll listen to this mini lesson.
Kevin, it seems like the QU in quel, meaning what, sounds like the K in kite, which is different from English, right? But isn't it comforting to see French written words that look similar to the English version, even if they don't quite sound the same? Like nationalité. The difference is in the tion, that sounds like a s, and the ending in e. Here the accent aigu or sharp accent tells us what sound this e will be. Here it is again, nationalité. Now to say am, like in I am, we'll say suis or je suis. The beginning of suis sounds a little like soit in sweater, don't you think? Listen again. Je suis. If the guy you are chatting with happens to be American, he'll say je suis américain without the e ending. But a girl will say je suis américaine with the e. Listen carefully again because there is a slight difference in the two AIN ending sounds. Américain, américaine. If you're speaking to an English person, however, they will be anglais or anglaise. And you're right, the AI makes the E sound in French. Remember, we do not pronounce the consonant at the end of a word, like the final S in anglais. But when you add an E after a consonant, that makes us pronounce the S, like in anglaise. Listen to it again. Anglaise. Otherwise, it has to be anglais.
Bravo, mes amis. So hopefully this makes a little more sense. Again, if you needed to repeat this, go ahead and pause our video and repeat to watch the video. All right, and do remember that Kevin, in French, a liaison is like a dance where the consonant and vowel join together to make the language flow beautifully. That's why you'll hear a Z sound between je suis américaine, je suis and américaine, for example. Be on the lookout for more as you keep learning more French. So à ton tour, in course, we're going to be practicing some of these activities to review this vocabulary. Page 4, les parents. Kevin and I were relaxing while watching some French shows when he noticed he could pick out and understand some words when the presenters were speaking. There were other words that he thought he recognized, but they meant something else from what he knew. It was a great opportunity to introduce the next topic, so select the different tabs to learn along. Cognates, that's what this topic is. It refers to words that look similar and have the same meaning in English and French. Sometimes cognates look exactly the same, no translation required. Here are some examples. Address, adresse, intelligent, intelligent, artistic, artistique, village, village. So if you notice, the pronunciation is slightly different, but they look and they mean the same thing. False cognates, on the other hand, are words that look similar in both languages, but their meaning is different. Here are some examples. Crayon, crayon is pencil. Grand, grand in French means tall. Sympathetic, sympathique is friendly. Jolly, jolie, actually means pretty. Miserable, misérable, actually means more of an unfortunate. Stale, sale, is dirty. And college, collège, is referring to middle school. So these are examples of false cognates where they may look and they may sound similar, but they mean two different things. Borrowed words, finally, both English and French use borrowed words from one another. We use borrowed words when there simply isn't a word to call something, or when the word we borrow is shorter and snappier than what our language has to offer. Here are some examples. Croissant, quiche, brunette, chauffeur, detour. These are words that French borrowed words used in English. English uses these French words: croissant, quiche, brunette, chauffeur, detour. English borrowed words used in French. So basketball, basket or basketball, volleyball, hamburger, brainstorming, parking, with a slight French accent to them. So at ton tour, we're going to practice a new skill you just learned during class. So make sure you participate in class to review which words are cognates and which ones are false cognates. Moving forward. If you want to do this right now, feel free to pause the video and review which words you recognize. Visite. Finally, after the first week of school, Kevin and I had time to explore Paris, and as you can see, that is where I am. I not only told him about our city of lights, Ville Lumière, but also some other magical cities, major cities, where my family lives. Remember to use the handy note guide provided to help you along in this lesson. A lot of these lessons are going to be culture-based, so let's learn about Paris, Paris. You know, Kevin, Paris is a snail, and not because of the famous dish. The name comes from the 20 districts, or arrondissements, that are arranged in a spiral like a snail's shell, beginning at l'Île de la Cité, our city center. The city is spread out, and the inner city, or as we call it, Paris intramuros, used to be surrounded by walls. They were built to protect it from invaders. Now it's basically our downtown, so we can't invade it for shopping and good food. The périphérique, the big highway around Paris, goes along where the old walls were. Paris is affectionately called Ville Lumière. Why City of Lights? It's because the city was the first to adopt street lighting. Région de Paris. Kevin, come to think of it, you might one day live in Île-de-France later, since you love anything that has to do with science. The Paris region has a reputation for being the world's center for research, technology, and science. Maybe that's why 20% of France's population lives there. As a scientist, who wouldn't want to also be close to many cute and historic villages like Provence? The wheat for French bread is grown in Île-de-France, and agriculture has been thriving since the Celtic times. That reminds me, I need to introduce you to the delish cookies, and syrup made of poppy and coquelicot, which grow here and are the symbol of the region. Marseille. My grandmother lives in Marseille in the southeast of France, right on the Mediterranean Sea. You might not believe me if I shared it was founded by the Greeks long ago. Here you can find the famous Le Savon de Marseille, soap of Marseille, which is extra pure. My grandmother doesn't live too far from the Velodrome Stadium, the home of the famous soccer team L'Olympique de Marseille. When we get together, she likes to make the specialty of the town, la bouillabaisse, a delicious fish stew. Marseille is on the French Riviera and gets 120 more days of sunshine than Paris. Kevin, better pack our bathing suits when we next visit my grandmère, grandmother. And Région de Marseille, when we were little, we used to hike the mountainous region of Marseille. I still remember the warm weather when we were visiting my grand-mère. It's much warmer than in Paris. During the summer, the Provence-Alpes Côte d'Azur region is in full bloom, and you can see purple fields of lavender stretch for miles. The flowers are used to make the famous French perfumes. We like to go and visit Cannes, but not in May when the film festival is in session because it becomes far too busy. La Croisette, the street where all the luxury hotels are, is directly on the Mediterranean Sea. I'll try to convince my parents to take us to the nearby Camargue, where wild horses roam. So, self-check, select the arrows to check your answers. Do you remember why is Paris called the City of Lights? It was the first to adopt street lighting. Where is Provence located? It is in Île-de-France. Île stands for island. Who first settled in Marseille? The Greek first settled there. And how is the landscape around Marseille? It is mountainous. Well done, bon travail. Let's continue. That m'intéresse. Kevin's presence at our school has created quite a buzz. He has made it his mission to know other students by asking them about where they live and their origins. So go ahead and let's practice that too. So here are some words. Let's see if we can practice and remember. Il est, elle est, he is, or she is. Haïtien, haïtien, haïtienne, haïtienne. Vietnamien, vietnamienne. Canadien, canadienne. Tu habites où? Where do you live? J'habite à. I live. Il habite à. Elle habite à. He lives in. She lives in. All right. Remember, you can rewind and listen to this again if you need that pronunciation or reviewing those words. À ton tour, come to class so we can practice some of these new words together. Pourquoi? Kevin was curious about why. Pourquoi? Some people say je suis français and others say je suis française. He was asking my mom and she helped him figure it out on his own. So, remembering to use the note guide to take these good notes. He says, Je m'appelle Pierre. Je suis français. She says, Je m'appelle Julie. Je suis française. So, Kevin or yourselves, why do you think that Pierre says Je suis français? It's because he is a guy. And why do you think Julie says Je suis française? It's because she's a girl. So, we will learn more about changing description words in French depending on whether they describe a boy or a girl. So come to class and we'll practice some more of these words. And towards the end, encore de visite, more visits. So Kevin is going to love meeting my aunt and uncle. They don't live close to each other, but we could visit them both in one day since France is compact compared to the United States. We could hop in the car, start on the Mediterranean coast, and arrive on the Atlantic coast in less than 10 hours. Here's what I shared with Kevin so he feels at home when we go and visit them. Strasbourg. My aunt lives in Strasbourg, a city to the east of France that's about 2 miles from Germany. The river Ile separates the historic center, La Grande Ile, from the modern part of the town. We would visit my aunt and uncle during Christmas and never missed a cold tour at the most famous holiday market, the Christkindlmarkt market. Ooh, that's a tough one. Let's try that one. Christkindlmarkt. Christkindlmarkt. Probably that has the silent, I'm guessing. Market. You can ice skate, eat traditional foods, and even visit the Cathédrale Notre-Dame de Strasbourg, which is right next to the market. Who would have thought this little town is also the home of the European Parliament and has a highway for bikes? Kevin better not try to practice to bicycle in December. It is far too icy and snowy. Région de Strasbourg. We once went on a river cruise on the Rhine River with our parents. The Rhine goes through 5 other countries before it reaches the North Sea and is also the natural border between France and Germany. The region wasn't always French, but changed nationalities about 4 times in the 19th and 20th century and was part of Germany twice. When we go visit during the winter vacation, we'll have to go skiing and snowboarding since the Jura and the Vosges mountains are very close to Strasbourg. We have to order a special dish called la tartiflette to warm up after a day on the slopes. It's made with potatoes, cheese, bacon, and onions. It is si bon, so good and filling. Lyon. My other cousins live in Lyon, which is about 4 hours southeast of Paris. It is a super cool town because it was the capital of the Gauls during the Roman Empire and, like Paris, has arrondissements, but only 9. My parents love it when we go visit because we like to discover the secret hidden passages, or traboules, of the old town that take you away from the hustle of the busy streets and into a magic world of gardens and courtyards. We like to stop on hot afternoons for a cold drink and a piece of tarte à la praline. If you like almonds, this dessert is for you. That little break gives us the energy we need to go to the Silk District, La Croix-Rousse. Can you believe they made the windows in the district taller to get the looms in the houses that then became workshops? Région de Lyon. We are pretty spoiled because not too far from my cousin's house is the ski resort of Saint-Pierre de Chartreuse, where we like to spend a day on the slopes. There is a beautiful 1,000-year-old monastery where monks live, but because visitors are not allowed, it gives the place a mysterious vibe. In the summer, we like to hike the region and have a picnic with a star picnic item, cheese, fromage. The region is famous for its cheese, and about half of all the French cheeses come from there. One of our favorite things to do is visit the villages in the land of the golden stones, where special limestone used for the buildings has a gold color. We should plan to go to the village of Oint and the village of Trevaux, where we can visit an abandoned castle and its huge octagonal courtyard. From the castle, you can see the view of the river Saône. It is out of this world. So quick self-check, selecting the arrows. Let's see, into what sea does the Rhine flow? The Rhine flows into the North Sea. In what city can you find a bicycle highway? Strasbourg has a bicycle highway. For what is La Croix-Rousse famous in Lyon? It is the district where silk was made. And what is a unique feature of the Trevaux castle? Its shape is octagonal. Bravo, mes amis, well done. We are just about done with this particular lesson. We're ending with la lecture. So Kevin decided on his own that he should join a club to make more friends at our school. He chose the health club because they organize visits and excursions in and around the Paris region. I peeked in on his first meeting and saw he was practicing lots of the French he has already learned. Here is how the conversation with Zoe went. Salut, ça va? Salut, ça va bien et toi? Ça va. Tu t'appelles comment? Je m'appelle Kevin. Et toi? Je m'appelle Zoe. Tu es de quelle nationalité? Je suis américain. Tu es de quelle nationalité? Je suis française. Tu habites où? J'habite à Paris. Paris est joli. Tu préfères quel sport? J'adore le volleyball. Et toi? J'adore le football et je déteste le baseball. Tu préfères les hamburgers ou les sandwichs à la tomate, salade et fromage? Je suis végétarienne. Je préfère les sandwichs végétariens. Ah oui, délicieux. Et toi, tu habites où? J'habite à Sèvres. Bienvenue au club de santé, Kevin. Welcome to the health club, Kevin. Merci, Zoé. All right, my friends, so let's see if we understood. How is Zoe feeling? She is feeling well. What was Zoe curious about? She was wondering about Kevin's nationality. And what club is Kevin joining? He is joining the health club. What are some activities the club organizes? Some activities include excursions around Paris. All right, so bravo. After this, I will meet you in class. We'll review some of these new words, new themes, and hopefully we'll go from there. After that, you will have a quiz. Let me know if you have any questions. Bring them to class. Au revoir, mes amis.